So I'm grateful to everyone. I see every time when we start the conference, there is some buzz, which is good. People are happy to be here. I think you will find time to talk later. I'm grateful to you for having come here, for finding time to talk, to pay attention to that. However, I will ask you to stop dropping into your notebooks or notepads or whatever you have, and just let's greet each other with a round of applause. Great. I also have a request on you. When people come to the stage, you probably understand people always feel a bit worried. And any kind of public speaking needs two sides, those who speak and those who listen. So when they come to stage, please do support them with a round of applause. We are going to begin, but before we do so, there is some housekeeping that we need to discuss. It's an international conference which is about working with people who survived captivity and torture, psychological aid to such people and members of their families. We work with Phoenix and Liberec Partnership for Human Rights, and German Marshall Fund from the United States is supporting our work. We're grateful to all of the partners whose representatives are here, that we have an opportunity to work, to have this conference online. Everything is recorded now, as you understand. So if for whatever reason you cannot be present at some of the talk, it will be all recorded and you will always be able to catch up. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Ukraine have been subject to torture. Starting in 2014, this topic that has always been important became huge. Civilians, military personnel were in captivity, were tortured. With the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Ukrainian society and international community also were horrified by the experiences of people who survived occupation. Now, we're not possible to give you numbers on people who suffered from captivity and torture, but we understand these are thousands of people. We cannot justify what our enemies do to our people. However, we can try to do something to counteract what has happening. Lisova Polyana has been identified by the Ministry of Healthcare as a primary institution that helps people who survived captivity and torture. The goal of our conference is to share ideas, share experience, and have a network that will help us get together, share these experiences, and improve the care that we provide to people who survived captivity and torture. So this is the goal, the idea, and with that in mind, I suggest that we start our conference with a minute of silence to respect the memory of those who died and suffered protecting our country. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're going to start. We suggest that we begin with something which is very traditional for this space. I say it's traditional, although it's basically my second experience. But I understand that this is something which could become traditional, but I would ask you to give you a round of applause to Ksenia Возницына, who represents Lisova Polyana here. Ksenia, I know you like to be closer to people, so please. Dear friends, dear colleagues, I'm so very grateful to see you here, and the whole team is grateful to see you here. I see so many familiar faces. I also see a lot of people who I do not know well, but I hope we will get to know each other better. We have a lot of plans for co-working with coffee breaks. I want to say thank you to each one of you for not being afraid to work with a topic like that, such a difficult, traumatizing topic like that, the trauma of war or the trauma of captivity and torture. So that means that together with our armed forces, with our defenders, you do what you can, what your professional responsibility and capability allows you, and your civil position allows you to do. This is our input into this fight with the evil. It's our fourth conference in the past 6 months, and we try to highlight the topics that are very relevant, very painful, but from a different angle. The first conference, which made a lot of noise, was psychedelic-assisted therapy for war trauma. In autumn, we talked about war trauma again, and we said that psychological trauma, especially the kind of trauma that was acquired in wartime, is not only about your psyche, it's about the whole body, and a complex experience is needed, complex treatment. Unfortunately, we do get these new experiences. Over 10 years, we've come to see a lot of people who survived captivity and torture. But on the other hand, Ukrainian specialists get new skills, new knowledge to counter that. We are very successful in that, to be honest. And the conference we're going to have today is going to be about this. What has already been done? What perspectives we can see? How it can be developed further in Ukraine so that we provide the best assistance and care. The tradition that Maxim mentioned is that we sing the hymn of Ukraine, Ukrainian anthem. You will all have to sing. This is not a question. We will help you. Because keeping traditions is all about mental health, right? So these are skills, routines that help us establish connections, be grounded, and we develop our national identity that we're so proud of. So, friends, please. Families are always supportive of each other. We are going to begin moving quickly with wonderful friends who came to greet us. I will be inviting them one by one with their welcoming words. We have a Nobel Prize laureate, head of the Center of Civil Freedoms, Alexandra Matvichuk. Could you come please here? Yes, thank you. So, over to you.
Доброго дня, шановні учасники цієї конференції.
Dear participants, I'm Alexandra Matvichuk. I'm a civil rights defender, and together with my colleagues, we have been documenting war crimes. We were the first organization that sent mobile groups in 2014. We didn't even understand then that the war started. And we didn't think that it will be our everyday work for 10 years. Our focus over the first years of war, we were dealing, first of all, with the torture and sexual violence. We dealt with politically motivated persecutions of people. I talked personally to hundreds of people who survived Russian captivity, and these are horrible stories, horrible. Now, with the full-scale invasion, we can all see that Russia is cruel, and they have some rationale. They're very cynical about being so cruel. They use war crimes as a method of doing war. They inflict pain with a purpose, and they do anything they can to break our resistance, to occupy more of the country, or to maintain control over the occupied territories. So when Ksenia said that what you do is your input into this resistance, she was right, because you are helping with the pain. I'm no psychologist, but even from what I do, it is obvious that people who are in captivity, they have to go through horrible things. And very often, after the captivity, no matter how long it lasts, they need psychological help. In 2014, I remember people were learning from international experience and building the system of assistance. Now, I know that a lot of people, various individuals, institutions, have so much experience that they can teach the world of what needs to be done to bring these people back to usual life. I'm remembering what my friend, colleague, said, Elena Rozvadovska, who is the head of a charitable organization, Voices of People. She has been working with children, and she initially worked with people, with children who lived very close to the front line. She said once something which I remembered forever, because I thought it was important. She said, I hear people saying that I work with children who have been traumatized. And I say, no, I work with children who have wartime experience. And yes, this experience is traumatic very often, but we did not choose to have this experience. And my task is to help the children to push from that experience, bounce back and go on. I'm grateful to you for your work. And I want to say that this is something that the whole of the Ukrainian society needs to do. This is our task, to create these spaces of humanity for the people who have been burned by this experience of war, who were at the front line, to make sure that they can come back safely. Of course, we will not manage to do much with the specialists only, with institutions or initiatives. It is the task of every single one of us, of those who live in Ukraine, who fight for freedom and dignity. Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra, for being with us today.
Так, друзі, ми готові з вами продовжувати. Для ще одного вітального слова я хочу запросити директорку медичного
I
департаменту.
want to invite our next specialist, Tatiana Orabina, from the
Дякуємо дуже. Виходьте, будь ласка, до нас. У нас вже все.
Ministry of Health of Ukraine. Please come here. We are doing just fine. Well, it's a good place here. Dear colleagues, I want to pass on greetings from our team, from our minister, Viktor Lashko. He's doing what he can within the cabinet of ministers. We work a lot. at what we call our medical front, and you're part of it.
Ворога на
This is where we need to hold defense. We will not let the enemies come into our land, into the souls of our people. I'm grateful to you for your readiness to be part of that, to take some of that experience to help people who went through torture, through captivity. I don't think that all of us would necessarily be prepared to react with such dignity to such circumstances and continue living. So it is your task to help these people survive. It's not possible to forget it, but start a new page, a page that will help the people become fully performing citizens of our country. They will not forget the pain, but they will have a chance for future, to have a family, to start a new job, to learn something new, do whatever usual people do, despite the fear that they had to go through. Lісова Поляна is hosting lots of people online and offline. I still want to highlight that this is the experience that we were accumulating, not over these 2 years of the full-scale invasion. It's been for 9 years already, and for Lісова Поляна as well. The war started in 2014 for me, and I will always remember what my friends told me about the torture, about humiliation, about those basements, and I personally saw these horrible consequences of what was happening in 2014. We were smiling in the beginning of this event. We are Ukrainians, and no Russian bastards will break us or change our plans that we have for recovering our country. Nobody will have our country. So we hold up, we stand strong. I'm grateful to you for being at the front line. It is difficult. You use your resources to help other people. You understand well how important this assistance is for the people who come back from captivity. So once again, I'm so grateful to you. And my grateful goes from the Ministry of Health to you.
Прекрасно. Я тепер розумію, чого всі виходять
Thank you,
сюди.
Ms. Tatiana. Now I understand why everyone is coming up front, because it's warmer, because you're closer to people and you feel their warmth. Now I would like to invite another guest who is together with us. This is the head of the Coordination Center for Mental Health under the Cabinet of Ministers, Ms. Oksana Zbitneva. Ms. Oksana, Madam Oksana, thank you very much for being with us. Please take the mic. Keep whichever place is more comfortable. Yes, perhaps it feels warmer here because you can see the eyes of the people. You can feel their energy, because I keep repeating that at Lісова Поляна there is this energy which is so special. This is the energy of this fantastic team. I would like to greet all of the participants present here in this room, all of the participants online, because the topic today is extremely important. This is something that's going to incorporate more and more tools and expertise in order to infuse confidence in the people who will try to provide the services of mental relief in a professional way. At the same time, knowing that you are not causing harm, which is extremely necessary to be aware of. I understand that every one of you has had this experience of making puzzles at one time in your life, perhaps with children, perhaps on your own, where you definitely understand what kind of work it is. When there are 500 pieces or 1,000 pieces or 2,500 pieces, what the picture should look like, when it's broken into tiny small pieces. these jigsaw puzzles. Right now in Ukraine, that's exactly what's happening. Out of these pieces, of these fragments, this all-Ukrainian program of mental health is being created by the initiative of the First Lady of Ukraine. And you know for sure that in this picture, within its framework that you are trying to recreate, this picture is never going to be perfect, never going to be complete if you lose at least one piece of the jigsaw. And this important piece of this nationwide program of mental health in Ukraine is this specialized, highly qualified, very accurate, because within its framework, we cannot strike any compromises in order to hit below. Very accurate work, precision work, working with very demanding experiences, hard experiences of the people. And this of our people, Polana, as an excellence center, as a resource center, is filling all of this work with the meanings and senses of this recovery and restoration of people's health. And I couldn't agree more with what has been said. It's like in unison with my thoughts. Ms. Alexandra has spoken about that. Can there be spaces of healing? Yes, there can. If these spaces are filled with people who are ready to commit themselves to this healing, and it's much better, of course, if there is professionalism added to that. So this piece, this jigsaw piece, is always integrated with a great number of others. Otherwise, it will never become the integral part of the whole picture. And when we talk about the work with such experiences, finding ways or strength to carry on, to get the people together, in this respect, you have to realize what the whole journey looks like. What happens after the Slova Polana treatment, what that will look like within local communities where people will be hosted, what families can contribute. Has anyone been working with the families? Within the communities, are there any professionals who will be able to commit 24/7 if need should be, if there is any credibility in these people? So there are a great number of these streams and rivers that have to unite. And it's a huge chunk of work, and I know for sure that we will definitely be able to go through all of this process. All of us have already acquired this unique experience, the entire country, something that should become our reference point, starting point for us to gain wins. I wish you inspiration, you dear professionals in every corner of Ukraine. And I want to extend my huge thank you to the medical professionals, not only the ones engaged in the medical health, mental health area, because you are fighting for people's lives, you're protecting their lives, struggling to rescue everyone, to every professional in this regard. We require strength and resources, and I wish for the Slova Polana to distribute its resources Wi-Fi. Yes, this resources Wi-Fi, that's exactly what we will pick up as a metaphor that will be accompanying us during the day. Ms. Oksana, you are in sync with everything that's going to happen today, because I was listening to you. It seems like you have mentioned all of the topics that we'll be talking about today. The work with families, what is happening outside Slova Polana. So thank you very much indeed for helping me by saying that. Beautiful. So let's move on. We have some other welcoming remarks. We also have the representative of PACT Medical Center, Tatiana Kiryazova, with us here. So please give a round of applause to support Ms. Tatiana. Good morning. I'm happy to be here today to represent USAID's project, the development of the resilient system of health system. It's a 5-year project which is aimed for different levels in Ukraine. We are to support both our national Ukrainian program, How Are You?, the informational program, and at the level of communities, helping to develop sustainable resilient systems meant for psychological relief, mental health, service delivery for the people affected. And we are also here to support our unique partners with their unique experiences, which is why in January last year, our project, USAID, went out to support the development of the resource center, the National Resource Center, titled Slova, where we are here today in order to scale up this unique experience developed by our counterparts from this Polyana Center, in order to teach and impart skills and a lot of people, in order to improve access of a lot of Ukrainians to services which are targeted on trauma-oriented practices. Last year, we managed to do a lot, both training sessions for professionals, including 3 groups of our psychologists, psychotherapists from different corners of Ukraine, who went through these training sessions in order to work with the people who have been through captivity and tortures, and joining training centers and sessions for more than 3 different medical centers selected by the Ministry of Health of Ukraine in order to work with civilians affected by captivity, tortures and gender-based violence to do with the war. We have also spoken about the conference on work with trauma. Ms. Ksenia has referred to that. A lot has been done in this respect, but a lot still needs to be done. The war is still ongoing, and regrettably, the number of people requiring such help, the people who have been through captivity and torture, or who are still in captivity, unfortunately, their number is not diminishing, it's only growing. So we have a lot to cover, a great amount of work, and USAID has a lot of different projects and activities. And of course, Ms. Ksenia and Ms. Tatiana will be sharing more about this work. We will continue keeping up our end of work in this respect so that in our future work, focus is placed on improving the quality of work with the people, targeting the people who have been through torture and captivity, in order to make sure that, just as Ms. Oksana has said, everyone in every corner of our country who has faced this pain, for them to be able to gain and acquire science-oriented and science-evidenced help. So we are looking forward to our mutual help with our counterparts and folks in order to scale up their unique experience. Therefore, I would like to extend my gratitude to virtually everyone for the work that you are doing, meant for the people in Ukraine, and wish you all fruitful work during today's conference, of course, and in the future. Thanks for your attention. Thank you very much, Madam Tatiana. In just about a couple of minutes, we will move on to this fruitful work, but we have some more welcoming remarks, and I would like to invite right now here Yuri Belosov, head of the Department for Preventing Crimes Committed in the Conditions of the Armed Conflict at the Prosecutor General's Office. Yes, this mic is for you. Good morning, dear participants and organizers of this conference. Thank you very much for this invitation. For my part, I would like to express my thankfulness to all of you in this condition, when in the widest possible circle, all of us are victims of war, and still you are taking time, you're taking resources in order to help those who have been through hell on this earth, the people who have been through captivity, those who have survived and have been able to withstand all of these horrific conditions. I can just imagine how hard this work may be in order to revert people to peaceful life. Our department, which deals with investigating war crimes, murders, missile attacks, sexual crimes, attacks committed on our kindergarten schools, deportations, abduction of our children, and so on and so forth. It's a huge set of data, so torture and violent treatment is one of the priorities for us. So for us, it's necessary to understand who has organized all that, who is responsible for committing all of these grievous crimes. Let me give you just a few numbers. According to our investigations in Russia, in the occupied territories of Ukraine, just for the detention of our military personnel, boys and girls, there are more than 150 different detention centers, the ones that we are only aware of. There are also hundreds and hundreds of other places where civilians are being detained and we don't know their whereabouts. So in fact, we're talking about the policies conducted by the Russian Federation. They set up this program and they keep torturing a great number of our population, and they are also torturing vicariously their family members, because all of us, we understand that it's impossible to go through these events peacefully when you know what's happening to your nearest and dearest. So here we have representatives of governmental, non-governmental institutions and organizations who have joined their efforts in order to help the people who have been through this help. This attests to the unity of our nation, and that means that we still have the future. For us, the prosecutors and investigators, it's very important to collect all of the necessary evidence to bring the culpable persons to account. Testimonies of witnesses, those who have been through captivities and tortures, are of grave importance. Depending on the quality of this testimony, depending on this quality, the results of the trial will be. So quite often we traumatize these people yet again when we want them to testify. People would like to forget all about that, but we once again immerse these people in order to find out who was responsible for doing that, what in order to document all of their testimonies. So we, as professionals, have to know how to do it properly, and we are greatly grateful to those professionals who are helping us in this respect, psychologists, psychotherapists. So last year, we created a coordination center to support witnesses at the Prosecutor General's office. So organizing proper work with the people who have been affected by war crimes is indispensable, and we are doing that in great cooperation with NGOs, and we thank you for that. Right now, I'm also very much hoping that we will be able to develop this referral mechanism when our prosecutors and investigators, no matter what region of Ukraine they are based in, if people reach out to them, if they have been through these horrific events, they could offer where these people could go to their family members likewise, in order to gain the necessary help. Respective services, social services, psychologists that these people could reach out to, for them to be counseled and advised how to reach out to prosecutorial offices so that we can receive their testimonies and use them in order to punish those who are guilty of committing this crime. You've probably heard about 4 indictment bills of indictments in the United States committed by the representatives of the DNR in Ukraine. Our American partners are beginning to forward these documents already to courts. International Criminal Court, which is also collaborating with us, and the greatest office based in The Hague, but the biggest office of the ICC is also based in Kiev. And for the International Criminal Court, investigating war crimes is one of the biggest priorities, both for this year and the years to come. And we keep working with them hand in hand. So I would like to thank you once again. And I would like to assure you that we are also changing our approach in the system of criminal justice. Slowly but surely is beginning to depart from those totalitarian years, and is beginning to see that we are working for the sake of the victims and the survivors of these crimes, because from the previous years, we always try to find who is to blame, at the same time completely forgetting and ignoring those who have been affected, leaving them one-to-one with their pain. Therefore, we will be very much happy to welcome all of your collaboration, and thank you very much indeed for your great work in this respect.